Steph Curry left last night's win against the Raptors late in the third quarter with what the team is calling a pelvic contusion. It happened right there, driving the lane, colliding with two Raptors. Steve Kerr said Curry actually tried to come back into the game, but the team held him out as a precaution. They play next Saturday in Atlanta. Here's Draymond on the injury.
He hit that ground hard. You can hear it. It's crazy. Obviously a very scary moment for us, for him. Hopefully he's good.
Clearly concerned for your guy, Steph, but there's good news if he does miss time. Since Jimmy Butler made his Warriors debut on February 8th, Golden State 16-2 when Butler plays and has outscored teams by 60 points when Curry actually isn't on the floor. Before the trade, they were minus 90.
Fell on pelvic, tailbone area. So he was trying to come back. He thought he might be able to come back, and we just decided not to risk anything. And so hopefully it's not.
David Dennis Jr. sparing some moments with us this morning. David, the Warriors currently 6th seed in the Western Conference, but they're just a game and a half out of the play-in. So earlier this week, Steve Kerr saying of Steph that he's exhausted from carrying the team for a month. How do you think Golden State should manage Curry's injury now moving forward?
Well, first of all, happy 17th anniversary of Stephen Davidson beating Gonzaga in March Madness. For all those who celebrate, I think it's going to be a federal holiday any day now. Now, in terms of the Warriors and what they're going to do, from this injury, from what I understand, is a very painful injury, similar to the injury that he had in his tailbone a couple of years ago. So he's going to be out a few games. But this is what you bring Jimmy Butler into the Warriors for. You bring him in for these times when Steph Curry cannot play. If this had to happen in January or December, you'd say that this Warriors team is in real trouble. But Jimmy Butler's coming off of a triple-double in a game where they beat the Milwaukee Bucks without Steph. And you have coming up Hawks, Heat, Pelicans, and Spurs, which are all winnable games. If you're the Warriors, you have the luxury of leaning on Jimmy Butler, leaning on Draymond and that supporting cast, and you can give Steph time to rest until the playoffs, or right before the playoffs, because the last game of the season, they play the Clippers, which is going to have some real standings potential. So let Steph get as healthy as possible and lean on those other stars.
Dubs have 12 games left in the regular season. You mentioned Draymond Green. He led Golden State with 21 points last night in that win over Toronto. What have you seen from Draymond since they traded for Jimmy Butler?
So, first of all, we cannot go further without talking about last night. Draymond shot 14 threes last night. That is a guy that is clearly feeling himself on the court. He also led the team in scoring. That's the second time he's done that this season. He hadn't led the team in scoring since 2016. Draymond Green is really on a heater right now, offensively and defensively. Over the last 5 games, he's at 13, 6, and 4, 2.2 steals, 2.2 blocks. A couple nights ago against Milwaukee, Giannis was 0 for 8 when Draymond Green was guarding him. Last night, there was a play he missed a 3 and flew down the court like Deion Sanders to block an alley-oop. Draymond is playing some of the best defense of his career. And if he plays like this, combined with what Jimmy Butler's doing, combined with what Steph can do as healthy, this team has a ceiling of a championship with this Warrior squad.
Okay, we're going to bookmark that. 18 of Green's 21 points coming in the first half is most in any half since 2018. And just going back 17 years on this Davidson Day for the Davidson Wildcat, what class are you down at Davidson there, David?
I was a senior. I was sitting in my dorm room watching the game. Had a little bit of bad food that night before, so I was doubled over.
You're able to provide yourself and your teammates rest. And in Steph Curry's case, he absolutely needs that. The guy is 37 years of age. He runs around all the time. Obviously, he's the ultimate marksman the game has ever seen. And Steve Kerr knows that better than anybody because he's made Steve Kerr the coach that he is. And so when you take all of those things into consideration, one must say, all right, how much can one individual take? He's 6'3", he's not 6'9", he can't post anybody up. All right, can't play with his back to the basket and score points in the lane and stuff like that. He makes his money, shooting the basketball, getting open enough to shoot the basketball, creating space for himself, moving around without the basketball, out conditioning everybody. And when you put that kind of load on him, where he's the guy you're constantly looking for, he's only human. One got to ask themselves, how long can you last? And I think that, they've tried. They went out and got him help. And I think it's gone a long way for them. So credit to the Golden State Warriors organization. But it doesn't negate the fact that there was entirely too much on his shoulders. And even Draymond alluded to that when he talked about how Steph was just, I don't want to put words in his mouth because I don't remember exactly what he said. But he talked about how it was a lot on him. And it was clearly wearing him down until they got Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler revitalized them. It still doesn't negate the fact that everything goes through Steph Curry. And it's a lot to put on his shoulders. So I don't think that Steve Kerr was exaggerating about that at all.
Is you talking about mental or physical fatigue? Because he's playing the fewest minutes since 2017, 2018. Also, his 18 shot attempts, that's what his career average is, 18 shot attempts a game. Everything, for the most part, rebounds and assists are what they are. So are you saying he's mentally or physically fatigued? Stephen A., isn't that what we ask about superstars? Is to put that burden? I never remember you having this when we was talking about GOAT James. You never said he was tired. You never said he needed a rest.
That's not true. That's not true. That's false. I'm very disappointed because it shows you wasn't watching me as much as I thought you did. There have been times when I've said that. As a matter of fact, let me give you a heart attack right now. Do you know I've been on the record? Do you know I've been on the record in the past and I've gone like this? Man, stop judging LeBron from November to April. Come to me in April, May, and June. That's what his career is about. Leave that man alone. I've actually said that in the past. I know your GOAT James hears what he wants to hear when he wants to hear it and doesn't hear other stuff like you do as well. Y'all go conveniently deaf at times, but these things have been said about LeBron James.
You do realize, like when LeBron was 37, he was averaging 30 a night? You realize that, Stephen A.? When he was 38, he was averaging 29 a night?
Well, he's 6'9", 260.
No, he's 6'9".
Damn.
No, he's 6'9".
I have a question.
Yeah, pushing people around.
I have a question, Unc. When we talk about guys who deserve a little bit of rest, we tend to go with the legends, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. Since the opening tip back in November, who has had more help? Steph, KD, LeBron. How would you rank it?
Probably KD, because he got Book and Bill. And LeBron until he got Luka.
What was Anthony Davis? Top level?
Well, you're right.
That's
Anthony
my
Davis.
point.
Anthony,
Thank you.
Yes.
So those other players, hold on. I'll let you go, big bro. Okay. Those other players have had consistent help, especially as number 2 options. LeBron James had AD. Now he has Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Steph Curry to start the season, the first 40 or so games. He had, what's the song? Nobody, baby. He really didn't have much help.
Golden State Warriors, because they've looked pretty good with Jimmy Butler.
Well, they're in a tough spot in the standings because they had a rough December and January, but they are still time and there's still maneuverability in the West. And if they can somehow, the goal, and Steve Kerr has said this, get to 6th. Get to 6th, because last year they didn't make it through the play-in. So if they can get to 6th, they like their chances with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, and I respect it. We'll see how this next month and a half goes.
We'll see. I mean, listen, there's a lot of experience. When you talk about a Lakers team, you talk about a Denver team and stuff like that, game slows come playoff time. You never know how that could work against them, considering that they're relatively small or thin on their front line. But I got to tell you something. When I see some of the inexperienced teams that may be talented but inexperienced, and I think about Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green being able to get at them, Golden State's very interesting and very, very scary because they're shot makers.
What Jimmy Butler does, he gives this organization a chance to compete for a championship. That's what he brings immediately. And what he brought, when you get that extension, they alleviated any need for him playing for contract or anything like that. He's only playing for wins. You see, he's not playing for shots. He's shooting a very low amount of shots per game. He's efficient from free throw, but he's guarding. There was a play the other night. He was guarding literally 1 through 5 on any given possession. And I know I saw what Brian said on the countdown earlier about the honeymoon period, and he does feel like this organization is better than any other organization he's been a part of. But I'm telling you, it's different this time. I haven't sensed the same feeling he's had when he went to Philly, when he went to Miami. This is different for Jimmy Butler going to Golden State. He's staying late for shoot-arounds. He's staying late for practices. He's spending so much time in the training room, the meal room. He's going above and beyond to ingratiate himself with the Warriors right now.
They're still a first-round exit, and let's put this in perspective. If they get the 8th spot, they're going to face the Oklahoma City Thunder. Anybody up here picking Golden State over OKC? No. Okay. If they get the 7th spot, they most likely are going to get probably Memphis, Denver, or the Lakers.
I think they have a chance against Memphis.
Memphis go fall down. Okay. You picking them up against the Nuggets or the Lakers?